Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, let us start. Remember, we have been learning Chapter 5, Primary Activities. Today, we shall learn about agriculture. Now, I shall share my screen. Agriculture. Can you tell me the simplest definition of agriculture? Simplest meaning, simplest definition of agriculture?
Treatment of soil.
Yes. So the simplest definition is tillage of soil. Okay, actually agriculture means tillage of soil. However, agriculture is more than the tillage of soil. So let us go in detail. And about the factors affecting agriculture, we have discussed in the previous days, and you also have told me that important factors affecting agriculture are physical factors like landforms, then climate, soils, and we have socio-economic factors also like level of economic development, poverty, technology, like that. So agriculture is practiced under the multiple combination of physical and socio-economic conditions which give rise to different types of agricultural systems. That means depending on the physical factors and socio-economic factors, we have different types of agricultural systems practiced in the world. Okay, and based on methods of farming, different types of crops grown and livestock raised, uh, different types of agricultural systems are given below. Okay, just see here, the following are the main agricultural systems based on methods of farming, different types of crops grown, and the livestock raised. So now we have a type of agriculture known as subsistence agriculture. Meaning of subsistence we have discussed earlier. Can you tell me subsistence? What is the meaning of subsistence? Okay, it is also
Agriculture.
given here. Let us read. Okay, subsistence agriculture is one in which the farming areas consume all or nearly so of the products locally grown. Okay, subsistence, for sustenance, that is for livelihood. Okay, for eating, subsistence. So subsistence agriculture means uh, actually the type of agriculture in which the farming areas, that means the farmers consume all or nearly so of the products locally grown. So little surplus is there in the case of subsistence agriculture. Crops are grown mainly for consumption. Okay, mainly for consumption of the farmers and their families. So subsistence agriculture can be grouped into two categories: primitive subsistence agriculture and intensive subsistence agriculture. So now let us discuss in detail about the two agricultural systems mentioned here. The first one is primitive subsistence agriculture. Okay, so let us learn about the modes of farm operation and the important characteristics of this type of farming. So primitive subsistence agriculture or shifting cultivation, that is, it is also known as shifting cultivation. Primitive subsistence agriculture is also known as shifting cultivation, is widely practiced by many tribes in the tropics, especially in Africa, then South and Central America and Southeast Asia. Okay, Southeast Asian countries. Figure number 5.7 depicts the same. So here we have figure number 5.7. See, areas of primitive subsistence agriculture. Here, here we have central. Okay, here we have Central American part. So this is South American part. Mainly, it covers Brazil. Okay, so this is the Central African part, and here we have island of Madagascar, and so this is the Southeast Asian part. Okay, Southeast Asian countries here, Thailand, then Laos, Cambodia, then here we have Indonesian and the Malaysian islands. Okay, so in these primitive subsistence agriculture is mainly practiced. Okay, just see here Africa, then South and Central America, then Southeast Asia. Just look at this once. This is the Central American part, then South American part. African part is here, including Madagascar island here, and so this is the Southeast Asian regions. And about the modes of or the methods of farm operation, actually all of us are familiar with it because it is also practiced here. Let us read. So about the mode of farm operation, the vegetation is mainly or usually cleared by fire. Okay, and ashes add to the fertility of the soil. Actually, vegetation is cleared usually by a fire. So here, before the fire, making fire also, we used to cut the bushes. Okay, after that, we let it dry for 1 or 2 months, and in the month of February, so it is cleared by fire. And so here, the ashes of the vegetation add to the fertility of the soil. So this is one of the advantages of this type of mode of operation. And shifting cultivation is thus also called slash and burn agriculture. So after cutting the bushes, after cutting down the trees, again it is burned down, and that is why this type of agriculture is also known as slash and burn agriculture. And about the features, the cultivated patches are very small. The size of lane, okay, the cultivated patches are very small. And cultivation is done with very primitive tools such as sticks and hoes. Okay, small tools, primitive tools, small spads are used, okay, for the growing of crops. So after some time, that is after 3 to 5 years, the soil loses its fertility, and the farmer shifts to another part and clears other patch of the forest for cultivation. So this is another feature. The farmer may return to the earlier patch after some time, and this is what I call zoom cycle. I think you're also familiar. Just see here, Here we have cleared a piece of land. Okay, and we have grown these crops. And after some years, maybe 2 3 years, the fertility of this piece of land declines, and that is why we again shift to another piece of land. Okay, so this is another piece of land we have cleared, and here as usual we have to grow crops after clearing the bushes. And again, after some years, fertility will decline, and we may shift to another piece of land. And when the fertility of this piece of land is declined, then we may back to the uh, piece of land where we started the cultivation. Okay, this is what we call zoom cycle. So this process is known as zoom cycle. Okay, so the zoom cycle may take 3 to 5 years, okay, to return. So here, so this is the first piece of land we selected. Then after that we shifted to this piece of land. Then again we shifted to here. Then again we move back to the first piece of land we selected. So this is known as zoom cycle. So the zoom cycle may differ from 3 to 5 years. However, we are facing problems now. See, population is increasing, and that is why, see, one of the major problems of shifting cultivation is that the zoom cycle, or the cycle of zoom, becomes less and less due to loss of fertility in different parcels. So population is increasing, and we are cultivating on these pieces of land again and again. So here again, here again, here again. And so this process will continue. And because of that, fertility of these pieces of land decline, and that is why the cycle of zoom has declined. So once we shifted the lane after these 3 to 5 years, now after 1 year we may be shifting to another piece of land, and we may be back to the first piece of land only after 2 3 years. So in this way, the zoom cycle, okay, the zoom cycle is becoming less and less. Any question, boys and girls?
Yes, sir.
So let us continue. It is prevalent, as you know, we have also pointed out on the world map, and it is practiced in the tropical region okay, and it is known by different names. So shifting cultivation is known by different names in different parts of the world. For example, uh, zooming in the northeastern states of India. So shifting cultivation is known as zooming in northeastern states of India. It is known as milpa in Central America and Mexico, and it is known as ladang in Indonesia and Malaysia. So these are some examples, and we have also learned in class then also different names, okay, known in different parts of the world. So this is about shifting cultivation. I think all of us are familiar with it. However, we have some photographs here. Okay, so here we are clearing the bushes and trees and making fire. Okay, so this is a photograph showing this farm operation of shifting cultivation. So this is actually, see here, let me show it again. So here, this is the another photograph. This is another photograph, okay, of practice of shifting cultivation, that is after clearing the land. Okay, and next we have this. So this is after growing crops. So I think, what type of crop you are seeing here? I think this is corn, maize. Okay, and here this is growing of rice. This is growing of upland rice. Okay, after other shifting cultivation. And this is another photograph showing this preparing lane for growing crops, okay, on the slopes of the hills. Actually, this photograph has been taken in Bangladesh. Okay, so these are some of the photographs showing about shifting cultivation. So any question regarding this primitive subsistence agriculture, also known as shifting cultivation?
No, sir.
So let us go to another type of subsistence agriculture. It is known as intensive subsistence agriculture. And this type of agriculture is largely found in densely populated regions of monsoon Asia. Okay, so intensive subsistence agriculture is practiced in the densely populated regions of monsoon Asia. Monsoon Asia means the regions where monsoon type of climate, okay, is found. And here again we may look at this map. So this map again, so see here, this region is known as monsoon Asia. It includes India, then Southeast Asian countries, okay, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, then China. We have Japanese islands here, Indonesian and Malaysian islands here. Okay, in these areas, so this type of agriculture known as intensive subsistence agriculture is practiced. Okay, and here you may find two types, again two subtypes of intensive subsistence. The dark color one, okay, the black color shows a wet rice. Okay, this dominated by wet paddy cultivation. And the other one, that is the gray one, okay, the gray color one, this one, the gray color represents uh, intensive subsistence agriculture other than this rice. Okay, that is other crops are grown in these areas. Okay, and the black color areas grow this rice. So let us go in detail. It is also given here. Basically, there are two types of intensive subsistence agriculture. The first one, we have intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation. So another one is the intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy. Okay, the first one is dominated by wet paddy cultivation, and the other type is dominated by other than paddy. So paddy is not grown, but other crops are grown. Okay, and now let us find out the important characteristics of intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation. So this type of agriculture is characterized by dominance of rice crop. So as the name, okay, indicates, this type of farming is dominated by rice crop. Another feature is that landholdings are very small. The size of the land is very small due to high density of population. That means fragmentation of landholding is there. Okay, then farmers work with the help of family labor. So this is another characteristic. Farmers work with the help of family labor, leading to intensive use of land. So here in this type of farming, so we may find this double cropping as well as triple cropping. Okay, that is why we use the term intensive. The land is used intensively. That means double cropping, triple cropping, multiple cropping done. Use of machinery is limited in this type of farming, and most of the agricultural operations are done by manual labor. So these are other important features or characteristics. Use of machinery is limited. Another feature is that agricultural operations are done by manual labor, that is done by hand only, mainly done by hand. Okay. And farmyard manners is used to maintain the fertility of the soil, and in this type of agriculture, yield per unit area is high. Yield, the productivity, okay, yield per unit area of land is high, but yield per labor productivity is low. Why? Can you tell me why? Why is the yield, the productivity per labor is low in this type of farming? Can you tell me? See, we have known that this type of farming is practiced where the population density is very high. Okay, population density is very high. So in a piece of land, so many human beings are working there, and that is why if we divide, okay, the products by the number of people involved, then the unit, this the kgs, okay, maybe the weight, the quantity per unit, sorry, the quantity per labor or the per human being is low. Okay, because here the population density is, just see here, high density of population. Just I will show you some photographs here. See here, I see here on this piece of land so many human beings work here, and that is why when we divide the products by labor, then the productivity is low. Okay, so this is the transplantation process. Okay, photograph taken in the South Asian countries. Okay, and here this is taken in Cambodia. Okay, Cambodia, and rice cultivation in Cambodia. So this is another one. So this is also about rice cultivation in South Asian, okay, countries. And one more here. I think here only this much. Okay, the other one, this one is this is upland rice cultivation as a part of shifting cultivation. Okay. So that is why since it is practiced in the areas, okay, with high population density, and since most of the farm operation are done by labor, manual labor, okay, yield per labor is very low. And next we have the other type of intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy. So due to differences in relief, climate, soil, and some other geographical factors, uh, it is not practical to grow paddy in many parts of monsoon Asia. Okay, due to the terrain, due to the landforms, then due to the climate. That means climate. Actually, here we mainly refer to two elements like temperature and rainfall. Okay, these two elements of weather and climate determines what type of crop to be grown, and the soil type. So depending on these geographical factors, paddy, in some areas paddy cannot be cultivated. For example, paddy requires lots of water, that is heavy rainfall is required, high temperature is required. So in the areas where rainfall is low, then temperature is low, we cannot grow paddy. And then what are the other crops grown here? What are the crops grown where the paddy is not cultivated? So those crops are this wheat, then soybean, barley, and sorghum. So are grown in northern China, then Manchuria, North Korea, then North Japan. Okay. In India, wheat is grown in the western part, that is in Punjab, Haryana area. Okay. The western part of Indo-Ganga plain means western UP, Punjab, Haryana area. Okay, and millets are grown in dry parts of western and southern India. So millets are grown in the dry part, that is in the Rajasthan area, western part of Rajasthan, then Gujarat, Maharashtra area. Okay, millets are grown. Jawar, Bajra, Ragi are grown. And most of the characteristics of this type of agriculture are similar to those dominated by wet paddy, except that irrigation is often used. So this is the main difference between the two types of this intensive subsistence agriculture. So in this case, see here, in this type of farming, intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy, okay, irrigation is used. Whereas in the case of intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation, irrigation is not done. Okay, it is merely rain fed. So this is the main difference between the two types of intensive subsistence agriculture. And the remaining characteristics are almost the same. Okay. And now, can you tell me the other differences? Can you find out the other differences between the two types of the intensive subsistence agriculture? Here, see, here we have, let us read this, okay. We know that we have two types of intensive subsistence agriculture. The first one is known as intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation. The second one is known as intensive subsistence. Sorry, this spelling is wrong. Okay, intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy. So here paddy is the main crop, and here wheat, sorghum, and soybean, these are the main crops. And so now let us find out the differences. Here, in case of dominated by wet paddy, okay, this type of agriculture is characterized by dominance of rice crop. So rice is the main crop. And in this type of farming agriculture, that is by crops other than paddy, wheat, soybean, barley, sorghum, and millet are the main crops grown. So this is the first point of difference between the two. The second point of difference is that cultivated in the areas of heavy rainfall. So this type of agriculture is practiced in the areas of heavy rainfall, and for the by crops other than paddy, it is cultivated in the areas of having medium to low rainfall. That is rainfall ranging between 25 to 75, okay, up to 100 maximum. And here in the first case, dominated by wet paddy, it is not irrigated or rarely irrigated. And as we have learned earlier, in this type of farming agriculture, irrigation is often used. The fourth point of difference is that use of machinery is limited, and most of the agricultural operations are done by manual labor. Actually, in case of rice farming, okay, paddy cultivation, machines are rarely used, and most of the agricultural operations are done by hand. And in case of the agriculture, okay, by crops other than paddy, sometimes machines are used for tilling the land and harvesting of crops. So when we grow paddy, wheat, then millets, okay, even in India also, see Punjab, Haryana, then Western UP, we find use of machines. We find use of tractors, power tillers, okay, for this growing and harvesting the crops. So these are the main differences between the Two types of intensive subsistence agriculture. Are you clear, boys and girls? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, then let us stop here for today. Thank you very much for joining my class.